Nothing further to say. Here's Randy Asselin of Budandu.
Thank you very much. Let me get my first slide up here. Really good to see you. It's awesome to see how this has grown. When I first spoke, it was 3 years ago. 1 Million Cups was 6 months old, and we were speaking in the corner in the back. And man, this has just been amazing, and I love that I come here every week. It's about the only local commitment I've made is 1 Million Cups the last couple of years, and it's because the audience is so great and so dynamic. So today I'm going to talk to you about a subject that is somewhat vanilla. Okay, and I'm going to talk about what our company is doing and the model we put together to try to add some flavor into that vanilla. And the subject I'm going to talk about are mobile apps. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is how apps and all technology, and in fact advertising agencies, sell a deal. They sell the deal by becoming the peacock. Okay, and in becoming the peacock, it sets up a series of events and pressures in which nobody wins. Here's what I mean by that. A company has a problem and they bring you in and they want to know what you can do, and that's your opportunity to spread your feathers and shine. And so you talk about what you got, who you have, what you do differently, why you're better, why they're going to get the result. You wonder why you hadn't been working with them earlier. You make them feel like they should have been working with you all along, and you're spreading your wings. You're the peacock, and I'm very good at doing the peacock. I mean, I've been doing it a long time, very good at going in, getting that deal, letting the world know why we are better, okay? But here's the problem with that scenario. The expectations are here, and then the pricing comes in here. The pricing isn't here. The pricing is equal to what you're pitching, because technology is expensive to deploy. So the end result is for an app. If it's a small company, you're looking for about $10,000 for a basic app, and that's a lot of money for a small company to have a decent app. Not a template app, but a real customized Apple and Android app. If you're a medium-sized company, you could be looking at about $65,000. And again, that's a big chunk of money for a medium-sized company. If you're a global company, you can easily be $150,000 to over $1.5 million. You might hire an entire team for months and months and months to build out your app. All this does is create immense pressure for the person who decided to write the check and bring you in. There's no way to quantify how good your app is. Is it a great app? Is it working? Are we engaging our audience? So the way they quantify the success is by downloads. How many downloads do we have this week? Do we have 10,000, 5,000, 200? Why don't we have a good clip? We need more downloads. How many deletions do we have this week? Okay, it's a backward model. It's a tough model. Okay, so that was our original model. We started in 2013 by building an app platform to create augmented reality experiences. Went to Silicon Valley, met with a bunch of augmented reality CEOs, and realized none of them could do what I wanted them to do. So I came back to Albuquerque and put a team together, and we created a platform called Budandu. Our platform was to make it so that folks could have augmented reality experiences by pointing their phones at things, and then things appeared in the mobile device. So we launched with Dippin' Dots nationwide. We launched the first augmented reality loyalty program that existed. You'd go buy a Dippin' Dots ice cream, you'd open their app and point the camera at what you bought, and we would recognize it and give you points. 2,000 points for vanilla, 4,000 points for chocolate, 3,000 points for a large Dippin' Dots. Okay, and then we connected our systems on the back end and we updated their loyalty points in real time nationwide. It was a great product. We then, in 2015-16, hooked up with Ford Motor Corporation and their marketing group out of Dallas to set something up for all of the Ford advertisement. And they do this big staging thing at all the NFL stadiums where you walk into Cardinal Stadium and there's all kinds of Fords set up, and they wanted us to make it so when you looked at a Ford truck through a camera on your phone, it was an exploded view, and you can walk around the Ford truck and kind of see everything that was there. It was in 2016 when we were on this project that I realized the model was backwards. It wasn't a good model. We weren't going to make any money on the deal. We were relying on great supermen developers. Okay, I had supermen. I had people that could make anything dance. Augmented reality, they could create anything they wanted. They were supermen behind the computer. The problem with supermen is that they don't always keep their timelines. They don't, right? Okay, they don't always keep their commitments. And if they're not going to keep their timeline, they don't pick up the phone and call anybody. So what you get, or you get developers, and no offense to the developers in the room, but once you're writing code, you forget that the company that you're serving, the company that bought that code, is setting up all sorts of launch scenarios. They're putting you on the marketing calendar. They're depending on your word. If you say we deliver in 4 weeks, a guy like me, the owner of the company, says it's going to be 12. We buy the developer time so that we can make sure we meet our timelines and the customer gets exactly what they want. Well, in this case with Ford Motor Corporation, we completely jacked up the whole deal. I was given 4 weeks on a project. I quoted 3 months on the project. We delivered 9 months later. We lost the entire football season. It was terrible. It was a bad deal for us. We ended up making no money. It completely trashed my company name in Dallas, where I had an advertising agency I was working with. So in January of this year, I decided to have a little heart-to-heart with myself and decide, what do I really want to do? Is there a better way to do mobile apps? And it might be less sexy, it may not be the Peacock, but is there another model that's available to us? So, what we did is we decided, what if? What if we took the cost out of building customized Android and Apple apps, and we did not go after big budget companies? What if we didn't deal with their executives and a 6-month sales timeline and having to deal with their IT people and getting the buy-off from the chief marketing officer? In fact, what if we cut the whole model where we don't do any scope of work, where we don't spend weeks learning about your company, we don't figure out why you got where you are and what you want to do on mobile? What if we just assume to understand that 90% of the small businesses need exactly the same functionality? All of it. Push notification, one-touch dialing, driving directions, website integration, social media integration, loyalty, RSS news feeds for news and relevant information, geofencing of push notifications. So someone walks into your store, all of a sudden they get a push message, okay? Geosecurity. There are some industries, the cannabis industry, where Apple will only allow that app to open up if you're within 100 miles of a state that has it legalized. So, well, we have that capability, okay? Customer reviews and database integration. What if what we decided to do was make that a Club Med style, where we come in at one price, and at one price, we get the whole thing built. Instead of charging you $32,000 to $65,000 and taking 2 to 6 months, what if we can do it in 2 to 6 days? And because we can do it in 2 to 6 days, we charge you $5,000 or less. So we went out to see if we could create this model. So it was more than that. If we could provide all of this, could we do it quickly? Could we do it to where there were no update fees? My app needs updating. It's all inclusive. It's in your fee, okay? Could we demo their app on the first meeting? If we could get to the point where we can do an app in 2 days to a week, under certain circumstances, could we build a fully customized app in a day? So that's what we set out to do. We then needed a market. We decided to go into the firearms industry, okay? For the gun folks in the room, that's a .357 revolver shooting off-the-shelf bullets, and it's amazing at night what that looks like when you shoot. So we decided, why not look at an underserved market? That's the firearms industry, okay? That's one we found. There are no technology companies that want Ruger or Smith & Wesson on their website. It's a political hot potato. So nobody's calling on these giant companies. Nobody's going to Glock saying, we want to do infrastructure for you or do your app. We learned that pretty quickly. I went to a large expo in Las Vegas. It was the largest gun show in the world, called SHOT Show. Started meeting with all these companies. Nobody was offering them a mobile solution. The next thing we found is they were slow to adopt new technology. They were years behind, 10 years behind, and they were okay with it. But what that meant to us is if they adopt our technology, they're going to be really loyal. They're not going to get rid of us right away. So we thought that that was good risk, okay? Next, it's a small industry. Everybody knows each other. It's easy for someone to pick up a phone and say, hey, we just got an app done and it's pretty fantastic. We didn't pay a whole lot for it. And then finally, because of the way the election went, all of these firearms manufacturers overbuilt. They thought Hillary was going to win, so they thought there was going to be a run on firearms. When Hillary didn't win, there was a 30% overbuild of inventory. So what's the end result? The firearms industry is flooding the market with inexpensive firearms, okay? That means that some of your smaller companies are going to go out of business. There's not enough for them. That means they need to look for new ways to market, okay? So We launched, what we did was, when I was at SHOT Show, I was walking around with my Albuquerque badge. Keep in mind, we've got 60,000 people there from around the world. And every time someone would see me in Albuquerque, they would say, Ron Peterson's Firearms. I'd be like, that's weird. Then I'd go somewhere else, they'd say, Albuquerque, that's Ron Peterson's Firearms. So finally, by the third day and about the 8th time, I said, hey, how do you know Ron Peterson's Firearms? Did you live in Albuquerque? And they said, no, the guy's a legend. He built one of the earlier gun shops in the early 60s. He's one of the biggest in the Southwest. You can get guns there you can't get anywhere else in the country. Old stuff, Civil War stuff, all kinds of stuff. And the guy's just a legend in the industry. So I thought, no kidding, I've purchased guns there before, but I didn't know that about Ron Peterson. So I came back, I went in, I found management, and I said, look, I'd like to film a 30-second commercial here. I'd like to do a commercial coming at you from Ron Peterson's Guns to the firearms industry that we have an app solution to connect you to the under 40 market and mobile. So management says, well, can we meet next week for lunch? Let's talk about this. So I thought, sure. So I show up at lunch with an app already built. I decided to test the process. What if I showed up and just handed him a phone and said, hey, here's your app? It was the most amazing experience. We sit down for lunch and I said, hey, Ron, by the way, we had some extra time, we just built you an app. What do you think of this? The guy was so engulfed in that app. He wasn't asking about me, our company, how long we've been around. He wasn't asking any of the questions that stop a sale. He was now asking, can you do this? How did you do this? How did you know about that? It was perfect. So at the end of the lunch, he said, we'll help you. You can, whatever you want, you can film, but we want to be the first. We want to buy the app, okay? So in May of this year, Ron Peterson's Firearms became the first gun dealer anywhere in the United States ever to have an Apple app. Apple wouldn't let them in. We found a way to work with Apple to get them in. And so that was big news. We got in the Albuquerque Journal for it. We did a national press release. We made a deal with a public relations firm to kind of get us out there in the gun industry. Okay, so that's where we sit. Now, what did we learn from this? And why am I here and where are we going to go next? First thing we learned, the small and medium-sized business market space, they want apps. They don't want mobile websites. They want the credibility of being in the Apple Store and having like a remote control to that company, which is the little badge that you tap that opens up the app. They don't want people looking for them in Google because when you look for a company in Google, Google brings all the competitors into those search results. But an app takes you directly to that company. So number one, small businesses actually wanted apps and they need help getting there. Number two, if you take the cost, and this is so critical, if you take the cost out of building an app, then downloads don't actually matter. Utility matters. If it's expensive, you're rating it based on downloads. If it's not expensive, all you care about is that your top 20% customers carry your app. Okay, here's why. There's something called the 80-20 rule. 80% of a small business's revenue comes from only 20% of their customers. Flying Star, it's 20% they're spending money in there every week or every month. Discount Tire, Ron Peterson's Firearms. So we changed our pitch. We said, look, because we've taken the cost out of building an app, you don't need 500 downloads, you need your best 50. And because you can push notify them and you know what they like the carrot cake, all you've got to say is, hey, we made an extra sheet of carrot cake, it's going to be out by 5, make sure you come in and get it. It worked. People started seeing that their top 20% would respond to their push notifications. Okay, so something we learned, by taking the cost out, downloads don't matter, interaction and intimate communication matters, and apps are great for that. Okay, the third thing, or the fourth thing we learned is our model was good. Okay, we started selling in May. We're averaging 3 apps a month right now. That's about an app a week. Most app companies aren't going to do 4 in a year. Okay, so right now we're averaging almost 1 a week with no salesperson. That's us, me, someone in California, me here, a couple of developers that use our platform, and I don't have a lot of time to sell. So just based on getting out there and walking in with someone's app already completed, our closing ratio is through the roof. Okay? So this is where we sit today. Now here's the challenge I have. The market is huge. There are changes in the app space coming. Progressive web apps are on their way. Web apps that can actually do a lot, almost everything a native Apple app can do, without having to go to the App Store to download it. Kind of a really powerful website. That's going to change some of the market dynamics. Do I have a real opportunity? Can we consolidate the small business market? Are there sectors for us? I don't know. So the reason I'm speaking this morning is I wanted you to know how we think, what we do, how we executed and what the results are. But what I really need to do is figure out where to go from here. We're having some success in the firearms space. Since Ron Peterson's, we've done 3 other firearms apps, and now we're starting to get folks from around the country that are inquiring about cost and how long it'll take. So we're starting to make some inroads there. But we're not sure, do we become a general app company? What are the other markets out there? We don't know what we don't know about folks that would leverage that technology. Charles, where's Charles? Did you want to?
So, just as a reminder to people, please go ahead and just say your name as well as the organization or company that you represent as you ask questions. And now we're going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A.
Great. Okay. So,